Just minus the beard. Bob couldn't make it today, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce the featured speaker. Or for those of you who know me, when I have the opportunity to say something, I'll grab it. And there are three things I'd like to say about today. I've been incredibly blessed by the musical presentations. But Lily Beth, in the future, when I hear your voice from Virginia on the East Coast, I'll tell my family that's Lily Beth raising her voice, praising the Lord. I was incredibly blessed this morning. Mr. Negretti, I am always amazed when I come back, and the presentation that you make on behalf of the Academy and the school that we all love so much. Thank you for doing so much and representing the school so well as the administrator. And now Ms. Iverson. I wasn't back at the school since 1986, where they probably had 100 chairs set out, and I think 25 or 30 people showed up. And when Bonnie first invited me 3 years ago, I was startled as to the traditions that had been started. And to see even the progression from the 3 years ago when we had a few chairs out and we had to add chairs, and then today to see every chair almost filled is a testament to your gracious hospitality and planning. I must remind you that those of you who leave today thinking this weekend is over, it's not. It started last night with yet another tradition. For those of you who are honored next year, I encourage you to come to the Friday night honors reception. It was a first-class event that is yet another addition to this weekend. And then again, there's tomorrow. I don't know how many of you will have the courage to join me on the starting line of the Hope 5K. Is Vince McMillan still here? Vince, as some of you know, is a legacy runner of the LA Marathon, and a couple of weeks ago, I think you continued the tradition of 30 plus years. 32, it'll give me great honor to be on the start line with you tomorrow morning. As is the case with numerous SGA families, Lori Ciccarelli, or Chick, as I've heard her called by her friends, I wouldn't dare call her that, but that's what her friends. She is the second of a family of three who went to SGA. Older sister Carol graduated in 1976 and came back last year. Her brother John, who is the senior pastor at the Calamasa Church east of here, graduated in 1983. I had interaction with her as the ASB sponsor, where for one semester or 1 year, I can't remember, she was the social vice president, planning banquets in this very gymnasium. And when I walked in, I've only seen her once since graduation. When I walked in, I said, "This bring back memories." And she just went, "Oh my," and she looked up at the rafters and the walls and looked around and said, "It's so warm to be back home again." The best description for Lori Ciccarelli for me is quiet, elegant, and genuine. For those of you who were here last night, I mentioned you don't want to peak in high school. And that certainly was the case with Lori Ciccarelli, who left here and went to Walla Walla. And since I'm pitch hitting, I got her bio this morning, and so I'm going to trade back and forth on the notes I've made and what her bio says. She attended Walla Walla University and majored in she majored in communications with a concentration in journalism, public relations, broadcasting, with a minor in sociology. And as a result of her work after she graduated, she was named Alumnus of the Year for Walla Walla University in 2011. She took her degree and blossomed further as a community relations director for Mammoth Hospital. Yes, you work in Mammoth. She was the direct community relations director for Mammoth Hospital. And I followed her there in her efforts as she emceed a program called Dancing with the Dots. Facebook obviously has made us a lot closer where you don't have to wait 5 years, 15 years, 20 years to see each other again. And so I zoomed in when she was the MC of Dancing with the Dots, and I said, "Oh, they had Bo Derek fill in for Lori." For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Google the movie 10. and you'll know what I'm talking about. During that time, Lori showed tremendous strength. And I'm going to again go to a bio where she earned Mammoth Hospital's prestigious Excellence of Management Award and recognized her for her community church and professional service. In 2008, she released a documentary film on her son, JJ's Journey, a journey about autism that has been showcased around the world as the official selection for several international film festivals and nominated for the Autism Society of America Media Excellence Award in 2009. The film's been featured on NBC and touted by Oprah's Angel Network as Ambassadors of Hope. Not only that, she has been served on the State Council on Developmental Disabilities and has been an invaluable source to my wife and me during my boys and their developmental challenges. She's had quite a spiritual journey and currently is Patient Experience Manager at Mammoth Hospital. She's the founder and CEO at Transforming Lives Advocacy and hosts spiritual renewal retreats focused on reflection and restoration and hosts pastoral and clergy care retreats. She married Steve Stotko, and yet I was proud of her in the fact she's now known as Lori Ciccarelli Stotko, and she lives happily in Lee Vining. Now, for those of you who don't know where Lee Vining is, if you ever have the opportunity, and you just go to Yosemite Valley and you think that's Yosemite, it ain't. You got to take Highway 120 and start going over Tioga Pass, where you'll see Yosemite like you've never seen, and as you go down the other side to 395, you'll see the sign to Lee Vining. In the future, it'll say Lee Vining, home of Lori Ciccarelli Stotko, is my wish. And yes, she is still quiet, elegant, and genuine. Welcome home, Lori. I'm eager to hear your insight and message. Ladies and gentlemen, Chick.
Wow, it's so exciting to be back after 40 years, where my life was so deeply rooted. Thank you for this opportunity to share my heart this morning. Please join me in prayer. Gracious and Holy Father, give us wisdom to perceive you, intelligence to understand you, diligence to seek you, patience to wait for you, eyes to behold you, a heart to meditate on you, and a life to proclaim you. Through the power of the Spirit of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I am extremely grateful to have been raised in a home that valued and understood the importance of a Christian education. My parents instilled this in me at a very young age. In fact, I can remember the first day of first grade, and this is a true story. I can remember sitting at my little desk thinking, wow, I got 16 more years of this. Little did I know then that it would be more like 20 to 25 more years. I love education. I have this deep desire and craving to learn more. I can't get enough. I was asked to share today how St. Gabriel Academy played a part of what I have become, and right away I thought of the ripple effect. God's ripple effect, connecting our past to our future. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of a ripple effect is a series of things that happen as the result of a particular action or event. The Free Dictionary says it's a gradual spreading effect or influence. Excuse me. And Wikipedia says a ripple effect is a situation in which, like ripples, expand across the water when an object is dropped into it. An effect from an initial state can be followed outwards incrementally. It reminds me of a chain reaction. San Gabriel Academy helped shape my core values by providing a Christian education through Christ-centered curriculum. My teachers were role models, reflecting the values of San Gabriel Academy, helping to lay a foundation beyond textbooks. The values of San Gabriel Academy are aspiring to excellence, helping to develop critical thinking skills, demonstrating effective communication skills, and expressing creativity and thought. We had a partnership with our teachers, collaborating as a team that built strong relationships. We were like family. Our personal well-being was at the highest importance. To the faculty at San Gabriel Academy. And research shows that high school years are a pivotal time for the development of core values and beliefs. My experience at San Gabriel Academy reminds me of a quote I once read. The idea that everything is purposeful really changes the way you live. To think that everything you do has a ripple effect. Every word you speak and every action you make affects other people. Purposeful. Our teachers were purposeful, intentional. They reflected Christ from their core. Matthew 12:34. For out of the outflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Doesn't that sound like the ripple effect from the inside out? Impacting the world at large, the ever-expanding circles of influence? Purposeful. My math teacher, Mr. Christensen, reflected godly wisdom, integrity, and intelligence. He helped us to develop those critical thinking skills. My Bible teacher, Pastor Lesko, reflected godly discernment and a genuine dedication and love for Christ. My art teacher, Mr. Uran, he displayed joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, and compassion. And he could always take a joke because we were always playing them on him. He had a great sense of humor. And speaking of great sense of humor, Mrs. Phillips displayed joy in everything she did. She had this never-ending gift of laughter. And Mrs. Sherrill always encouraged us with her genuine passion for teaching. She displayed excellent communication skills and helped us develop creativity and thought. And our history teacher, Mr. Becker, displayed leadership and a genuine commitment to Christ. And then there was Coach Vitrano's 2 weeks of conditioning at the start of every semester. It felt like boot camp. I know that must have created this endurance, perseverance, and determination in me to fight the good fight. And what about Pastor Wong's constant teasing? I know that had to build up this patience, diligence, and resilience in me. Our teachers believed in us, encouraged us. I felt loved and valued. They reflected Christ's character, which is the fruit of the Spirit. You know this. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. The one thing that they all had in common is that they had this genuine passion for education. You knew they loved their jobs because it spilled over to everyone they touched. Our teachers were purposeful. They believed in a Christian education, and they saw the bigger picture and understood the value of an education beyond textbooks. As Coach Vitrano mentioned, I continued my education, earning a bachelor's degree from Walla Walla University. And after college, I married and had a beautiful baby boy. that was later diagnosed with special needs, a child of autism. And I praise God for an education beyond textbooks, because no textbook could prepare a parent for the journey that followed. Our world was turned upside down. However, it was God's ripples of laying a foundation of compassion, perseverance, wisdom, determination, discernment, and endurance that helped me fight the good fight. When my child was young, I prayed for a miracle to cure him. Was my son cured? No. God's plan was bigger. The miracle that took place was the transformation of my own heart. I was in denial for many years. I could not talk about my son's disability. But once I accepted my son's diagnosis, doors started opening. Because I started opening those doors, I finally realized my son did not need a cure. He just needed love, support, and encouragement. He just needed tools for success and tools to help him function responsibly in society, like the rest of us. And as a result, my son began to soar. God's mighty ripples. Then God had a much larger plan. He turned our circumstance into opportunities. Opportunities for advocacy. Little did I know that God would use us as pioneers in our small community. Not just for our family, but for the many families to follow. Nor would I have believed that our story would be a voice heard around the world, advocating for autism and raising awareness. A voice of encouragement and hope. As you can imagine, there was not much information about autism 28 years ago. And because I received so many inquiries from medical professionals, teachers, and parents in my community that were reaching out for help, I decided to share my resources collectively in a documentary film titled JJ's Journey, A Journey About Autism. I had no film experience, but I was determined, so I bought a camera and a software editing program, and every time I sat down to edit the film, I asked God what He wanted this to look like, because it was extremely overwhelming. It took me 3 years to complete this film project, and my movie was released in 2008. I believe that by making the documentary film, it was a healing process for me, as I had to relive some very difficult times. Yet God's plan was still bigger. The film has taken on a life of its own, with international recognition at various film festivals, in addition to being used in colleges for teacher prep programs and in school districts for lessons on intolerance, as my son was bullied relentlessly for being viewed as different. Additionally, the film has been featured on NBC and recognized by Oprah's Angel Network as Ambassadors of Hope. My intention was to only use this as a resource locally. But God's ripple effect was His plan globally. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And many of you decades later have contacted me because you either have children or a relative on the autism spectrum. Again, God's mighty ripples. Robert Kennedy once said, each time a person stands up for an idea or acts to improve the lot of others, he strikes out against injustice and sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. As the ASB Social Vice President for San Gabriel Academy back in 1977, I thank you. You provided a training ground for me to plan social events of the student body that led me to earning a bachelor's degree in communications with an emphasis in journalism and public relations, in which I was later hired as a community relations director for a hospital to plan and organize many social and community events. My passion for education led me to continue my educational path to a teaching credential, in which I taught for over 10 years at the elementary level. I love to teach. A reflection of what I experienced here at San Gabriel Academy. I then continued my education decades later, earning a master's degree in leadership, in which I have developed curriculum, teaching workshops, and retreats on topics of leadership, personal development, and clergy care, in addition to presenting as Keynote for various conferences. Do you see God's ripples from Academy days laying a foundation? But God wasn't finished. Over the course of my life, I have to admit, I have struggled with religion. I knew of Jesus and about him, but I did not know him personally, intimately, in relationship. There were decades I did not attend church, except for those typical holidays. Back in 2010, a nurse at the hospital in which I work invited me to a Bible study. And I remember saying, "Oh, I don't do those religious things. But what are you studying?" And she mentioned the book, The Purpose-Driven Life. "Oh, I have that book. I'll dust it off and read it and check in with you every now and then." So I started my 40-day journey every morning reading The Purpose-Driven Life. Now, have you ever read a book and when you got to the end, you were sad? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. So I decided to read the book again, and my 40-day journey transformed into an 80-day journey. And the first 40 days were so different than the next. I was falling in love with Jesus like never before. Relationship. My typical 10 minutes in the morning of reading, studying the Bible, and praying turned into 20 minutes, turned into 30 minutes, an hour. I could not get enough. I was hungry. My 1 hour transformed into 2 hours, transformed into 3 hours. I just wanted to be at his feet, spending intimate time with my Lord. The following year, I decided to make some very big lifestyle changes. I was living a life that was not honoring God. And as a result, it created these barriers like a hedge, blocking what I could receive from God, limitations like strongholds. It was a hard decision, but as soon as I made that decision to intentionally change my life to honor God, it was like a lid popped off and the floodgates opened. My spiritual journey began to soar. I rededicated my life to the Lord, and the following year, in 2012, I felt a call into ministry. I just wanted to serve the Lord and share what he had done in my life. I asked the Lord, "What do you want me to do? I'll do it. Align my heart to yours. What is your plan? What is your will?" I did not feel a call into ministry as a pastor of my own church. At that time, I was already enrolled in my master's in leadership program. However, it was missing that spiritual leadership component. And so I talked to my brother, many of you may know him, Pastor John Ciccarelli, and he led me to a 2-year certification course in Christian spiritual direction and leadership. A course he had completed 20 years prior. So I applied to the program and was accepted. And I was so excited that I came to work and told a close friend, and she got excited and applied and was accepted too. It was an amazing experience, discussing lectures and assignments and praying together. To have a friend at work, at a public entity that I connected with on a spiritual level was an incredible blessing. Then just a few months later, we were teaching a class together at the hospital, and she said, "Lori, I don't feel so well." She was later admitted to the ICU. She asked if I would come to her room and pray with her. Shortly thereafter, she was airlifted to a medical institution to be cared for more appropriately. I felt compelled to continue praying, so I traveled 150 miles to be with her. However, by the time I got there, they had put her in an induced coma in order to intubate her, as her breathing was being compromised. I held her hand, but there was no response. As I prayed scripture over her, she began to breathe heavily, making this funny noise. I felt connected in a weird way, like our souls connected, like soul friends. And I was just happy to be there with her, experiencing God's peace and calmness just wrapped around the two of us. It was at that time I realized my ministry, spiritual advocacy, spiritual care, supporting others spiritually. As my visit concluded, I told her husband that I would be back the next week, as I could not wait to get back. The following week, I continued to pray. My faith was unwavering. I was getting excited to just be with her again, to provide spiritual care. And as I prepared for my trip, I received a call from her family that the doctors did not think that she would make it through the day, and sure enough, within a few hours, she passed away. My friend got sick and was gone within 3 weeks. As the sadness sunk in, the Lord reminded me that this was my call, spiritual care. However, I questioned my faith. Why wasn't she healed? God spoke loud and clear to my heart that my job was to provide spiritual care and support, not to fix her, as that was his job, and I was not to question her. My friend could have suffered for days, weeks, months. I did not know all the information under my little scope of insight. His understanding is comprehensive beyond human understanding, and I needed to trust him completely. Isaiah 55:8-9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. God reminded me that we live in a fallen world. Bad things happen. It's a global issue. But Christ overcame the world, and through him there is hope. God can bring good out of bad, his redemptive love. After a couple of weeks, my soul friend's husband dropped in for a visit, bringing gifts from her library he thought that I would enjoy. These books were confirmation of my calling. One book was on hospital chaplaincy, and one on pastoral care. Through difficult circumstances, God provides opportunities to grow, to serve him, and to honor him. I decided to continue the spiritual director course without my soul friend. Right before she got ill, it was her desire to develop a spiritual care program for our patients at Mammoth Hospital. But now, I was scared to bring this program forward by myself at a public entity. I had internal struggles for several months. In years past, I had friends get in trouble for just saying, God bless you. I was even spoken to for displaying a little tiny manger scene in my office during the holidays. We were not to talk about God. One weekend, I was completing an assignment for my spiritual leadership course, and I was spending an afternoon in solitude and silence with God at the beach. As I prayed on the pier overlooking the vastness, God spoke to my heart. He impressed upon me that he was going to enlarge my territory, just like we had studied recently about Abraham and Moses, other spiritual leaders in the Bible. Okay, Lord, equip me. I am scared. As I started to walk down the pier, never had I seen this before. Men were pulling up large nets of fish. All right, I get it, Lord. I pray for courage. Cover me. God placed upon my heart, I have been preparing you and have strategically placed you for such a time as this. I had been working at Mammoth Hospital at that time for 15 years. Deuteronomy 31:8. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Then God opened doors and softened hearts at work. It is not humanly possible, the orchestration that took place. In March 2013, we rolled out the spiritual care program exactly 1 year after my friend's passing. This program focuses on caring for the human spirit, serving the spirit of humanity. I hosted 65 patient visits that very first month. And my first patient that I was called to pray with was in the emergency room. And I asked her specifically, what would you like me to pray for? Thinking that I would be praying for an injury or illness she was suffering from. But instead, she said to accept Jesus as my Savior and to forgive me for my sins. Wow, Lord, I hear you. Ephesians 1:11. Because we are united with Christ, we have received an inheritance from God, for He chose us in advance, and He makes everything work out according to His plan. He has gone before us. The first year, we hosted 900 spiritual care encounters, which continued to increase. And by the third year, nearly 1,400 encounters, which included staff, physicians, and patient families, as they are all reaching out for spiritual support. I was then asked to take on the program full-time as the spiritual care hospital chaplain and to expand the program to include community volunteers to help patients after discharge. Matthew 25:21. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness. Now, community volunteers through community service clubs and local churches are helping us by providing meals, taking cancer patients grocery shopping, running errands, and offering additional support through prayer. My soul friend's husband is one of our volunteers. I continued my education in grief counseling from the Spiritual Care Association for Hospital Chaplains, and have developed other programs like our end-of-life program, and have expanded our grief support programs. It has been an amazing spiritual care program for our patients, families, staff, and community. But I had no idea the ripple effect it was going to have on me. Transformative change from my head, knowing of Him, to my heart, knowing Him intimately, to my hands, serving Him. I am not the same person. I am offering spiritual care to hospital staff and community members I thought had wronged me. People I thought would be obstacles for the spiritual care program. Those I was afraid of to bring the program forward. People I had a falling out with over the years in the community. These are all my patients, kneeling next to them, holding their hand, praying with them, and talking to some about salvation. God had a bigger plan. This was never my plan in high school or college. And at the age of 52, going into ministry, hospital chaplaincy, preparing me over the decades and transforming me for such a time as this. A byproduct of God's ripple effect. If you look back over the life of a St. Gabriel Academy student, can't you see the ripple effects? Use my life as a tiny example, a small snapshot just within one student's ever-expanding circles of influence. Take my communities, for example, my family, my neighbors, my coworkers, clients, patients, students, to name a few. Here it has been 40 years since I graduated from San Gabriel Academy. Think about how many I have touched within 1 year, multiplied by 40, and multiply that again by the number of graduates in my class. Think about the far-reaching, compounded ripple effects of others. Then multiply that again by the decades of classes that have graduated. San Gabriel Academy has touched millions through God's ripple effect. How rewarding it must be to see the fruit of your labor, discipling, making fishers of men to bring the kingdom of heaven forward. When you look back over time, can't you clearly see God's compounded ripple effects of San Gabriel Academy for such a time as this? It takes the one person, one moment, one conviction to start a cascade of transformative change. And I am extremely grateful for God's promise of Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This is our training ground for eternity, and I am so grateful that San Gabriel Academy is a part of my eternal training. Thank you. God bless.
Anyone who was ever in Corral or who wished they were in Corral while you were at San Gabriel Academy, this is the time we would love for you to come forward. If you don't know the song, we have copies. And if you still don't know the song, when you see the music, you just silently to yourself mouth watermelon, watermelon. And nobody will ever know that you're not singing. So you know, some of you, that